guys? This is Tom Burkhardt from Car Revs Daily, out on the handling loop today in the 2017 Kia Soul Turbo. This is the Soul Exclaim, so it just has an exclamation point, and is the only Soul available with this 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 201 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque from just 1,500 RPM. Now 201 horsepower comes in right at 6,000 RPM, about 700 revs before the about 300 revs before the red line, and intends to make this Soul really an interesting competitor to fun and sporty cars like even things like the Golf GTI, you know, are sort of in the Soul Turbo's wheelhouse and what it's aiming for. So at $22,000, this is one of the cheapest ways to get yourself into a turbocharged, double clutched vehicle, and is still awesome value. But we're out here on the handling loop to see if it's as fun as we remember. We really like Soul. I drove it a couple years ago and absolutely loved it. Was really impressed. And Soul has really evolved. Like this body shape has been around for years now, but the engines have evolved, the actual platform has gotten better, and the handling, of course, way better, as well as the tech inside and the style outside. So it's basically like it's still a familiar shape, but definitely meaningful upgrades keep it ultra competitive in 2017 and beyond. So out here to see if this turbo engine is as revolutionary as it could be for a vehicle as affordable and as fun and funky as the Soul. And I'm pretty pleased. The Soul, of course, is available, is a really affordable machine. You can get it from like $17,000 with a 1.6 liter 4 making 130 horsepower, and then you go into the Soul Plus, which brings you up to like 19 or so, and that brings a 2 liter 4-cylinder that is also naturally aspirated and cranking out 160 horsepower. All right, so we're just flat-footed here. So it definitely has some power. It has much greater passing power and in-gear acceleration than previous Souls, but and then of course you go up to the Exclaim model, and you're at that 201 horsepower. So with 41 horsepower more and a much lower torque peak, this Soul Turbo should be much faster than the 2 liter. It is quicker. I think it's about a second quicker at about 7.5 seconds to 60 versus about 8.5 for the 2 liter. But it never really feels very fast for some reason, which is a little curious. But the core vehicle's excellence still shines through. It's still a really good car, and one whose drivetrain really makes the day for this car. Makes it feel definitely worth the money, which of course we are a lot more than that $17,000 total for the cheapest Souls. So we're up to like $22,500 is our starting point for this Exclaim turbo trim with the double clutch and 1.6 liter turbo. But then with the tech package and the moonroof, we add $4,000 and bring like nav, this giant moonroof, heated seats, LED all around, LED brake lights, LED fogs in front, as well as projector beams for the low beams, and an LED daytime running light forming like a little cup underneath the low beam lights there. So lots of really meaningful upgrades with this Soul Exclaim trim level, and then the Exclaim with the tech package and moonroof in particular. So definitely the best Soul out there, and still a really great car, really big for its size, really big for its price. One thing with the Soul is it does not do a brake torque launch. It just computer overrides it and will not do it. So that's fine, but it does step off the line pretty enthusiastically. This double clutch automatic is good, but in that it doesn't have any like very much weird behavior like a la the Ford power shift, but it is not quite like as telepathic and instantaneous as the Volkswagen DSG and its relative, the Porsche PDK. So not quite as brilliant of a double clutch as you might be expecting, but versus the standard fare for this segment, which is continuously variable automatics, it's an absolute godsend. And you know right away that the Soul is not intended as a true, Volkswagen killer, because there are no paddle shifters. So even though we have like manumatic control, I can go to 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and it'll really shift, downshift pretty quickly. The upshifts are not as quick, and just not as instantaneous as you feel with the DSG. Excuse me, with the DSG, but still very good for this segment and this price. So of course, Soul is still like ultra competitive because of how much car you are getting for the money. I mean, it's tall like a crossover. It has fold-down seats like a crossover, and and as a result is practical and roomy and useful to own. But unlike a crossover, the only thing is it doesn't have all-wheel drive available. Which, of course, like 90% of these compact crossovers and compact crossover vehicles, crossover utility vehicles like CUVs, whatever you want to call them, you know, the vast majority of those are not going to be all-wheel drive either. I'm just going to turn around right here. So not a big deal, but Soul doesn't even really have any kind of off-road pretensions. It really, this Soul Exclaim Turbo in particular has 18-inch wheels and a really sort of sporty ground-hugging body kit and some other definitely street-oriented looks for the vehicle. So very different than sort of all these pretend SUVs like the Honda HR-V, Nissan Juke, Fiat 500X, Mini Clubman, Mini Countryman. I mean, really, where the Soul has evolved into with this powertrain is an attempt to take on the Mini Clubman range, and you get a sense of that from sort of like some of the cute and cutesy / high tech and useful details in the cabin. Like for the Harman Kardon stereo, like you can put stuff up there and it'll stay around. There's mood lighting within the underneath the speakers themselves that can be just mood or actually dance to the music, which is pretty cool. Some like pseudo houndstooth star pattern for the leatherettes and sport fabric seats, and just other little touches that definitely let you know that Mini and the Mini brand in general were in Kia's mind when they were creating this car. So definitely this Soul Exclaim is the closest that it's going to get in terms of a Mini rival that is like sort of fun and chuckable and playful, and they did pretty well. Beyond like sheer power and pace, like Soul is actually really fun to drive. It has really pretty weighty and meaty steering that is quick. It's a quick steering ratio, and they've gotten this electronic power steering to be significantly improved versus what it was before, when it sort of had like unpredictable boost levels and just wasn't as like sporty optimized as you would want. This Soul Turbo is the only Soul that comes with the drive mode selector, so I've got Sports, and then Eco, and then regular. So I'm just gonna, actually I think just Sport and regular. I take it back. So strong urge on the upshifts and strong pulling power from this engine. It just doesn't quite feel like it's making 201 horsepower, which to a 3,300 pound vehicle should really give you a little more of that G-force feeling in the small of your back than this Soul provides. But you know, is that the end of the world for this car? Absolutely not. It's like really practical. It's fun. It's cool, safe, reliable. Feels extremely high quality inside for this latest generation. They've definitely upgraded the materials and assembly quality pretty dramatically. And of course, as Kia's bestseller worldwide, like ever in the history of the company, they're really, really proud of this car. So let's see. Okay, so pretty minimal understeer, but definitely some present. Very decent grip, and it feels like all four corners of the suspension are working together, even though you have a torsion beam rear axle in this car. So definitely, the handling has certainly been fine-tuned, and this Soul Turbo Exclaim model is the benefactor of that more than some of its little siblings with their smaller engines. But they're all pretty good these days. They're all pretty fun and playful, and Kia's worked hard to make this as their bestseller, like we said. You know, really kind of into a style statement, something that has continuity over the years. I mean, this thing's been on the market for like 10 years. So that's a while for compact cars. For people who are generally for people who are generally the trendiest of car shoppers, outside of like cheap two-door sports cars. Those people are the ultra trendies, but obviously the young compact crossover buyers really do want something that's new and feels new, looks new. So in that regard, Soul competes well by updating like all that exterior look and the cabin tech, and then of course the chassis and the drivetrains. Put the money where the mouth is in terms of adding like 10 grand to the price. Chassis feels exceptionally rigid. The only places like on this performance drive where I'm getting like a little bit of, and for 27 grand, you can't really complain too much. But the only places are, just feeling like it could be a little bit more powerful. feeling like maybe some of that 201 horsepower has gone missing somewhere. The engine note sounds pretty good from out back with the dual exhaust pipes, but from inside the cabin is kind of workmanlike and not too inspiring. And then the other thing is like I'm getting a little bit of brake fade at this point. But you know, this is hard driving that is very, very different than the normal typical commute, wherein the Soul Turbo does exceptionally well. It's got pointy power and really just a lot of practicality with a price that matches what people are actually willing to pay. Granted, there are tons of people who go into the mini showroom and go into to look at, think they want a RAV4 or something, and realize that there's no getting out of there, you know, for under 30 grand for any of the sporty ones. And that sort of equation definitely plays out across the board. And even with the Volkswagen Golf Sport Wagon, and especially the new All-Track, I mean, you really, they're good cars from the low 20s, but really they're not sporty. Whereas to get a sporty one, you're shelling out, you know, 30 plus. So here's where Soul really aces it, is because it feels great. It's got tons of equipment, tons of technology and style and cool factor, but it's like really, really affordable. So by keeping the price under $28,000 for this absolutely loaded Soul, Kia has kept their prize baby in great shape for the 2017 marketplace. Pretty easy wheel spin around corners. I mean, there is like a little bit of a grip concern, but you know, any car with a turbo to the front wheels, you know, you're gonna have a little bit of scrabbling around corners. Not a big deal. Actually, the car feels like it's getting faster now that I've sort of been driving it like this. Maybe a little bit of an Italian tune-up for this Soul. Really fun car. Check out carrevsdaily.com in the next couple of weeks for a full write-up review and all the photos of this very, very fun, affordable, and practical 2017 Kia Soul Turbo. See you guys next time. This is Tom Burkhardt.